Forgotten heating tricks that beat modern heaters. 5 ancient methods that actually worked. Modern heaters burn electricity, gulp fuel, and still leave cold corners in the room. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Centuries ago, people stayed warm with less energy, fewer resources, and far more ingenuity. Some of their heating tricks didn't just work, they quietly outperformed what we rely on today. This isn't nostalgia, it's a rediscovery. And once you see how these forgotten systems worked, you'll understand why history still has lessons modern tech hasn't caught up to yet. Let's get straight into it. The Roman hippocaust that heated entire buildings silently. Long before thermostats, the Romans mastered a form of central heating so efficient it still shocks modern engineers. The hippocaust system didn't heat air directly, it heated mass. Fires burned outside the living space, sending hot air through hollow floors and wall channels made of stone and brick. Those materials absorbed heat slowly, then released it evenly for hours. Here's the clever part. Because heat rose through the structure itself, rooms stayed warm without smoke, drafts, or constant fuel feeding. Once the system reached temperature, it coasted. Baths, villas, and public buildings remained warm long after the fire died down. Modern heaters blast heat, then shut off. The hippocaust stored it. That meant less fuel, steadier warmth, and zero noise. Even today, radiant floor heating tries to imitate this idea with electricity and pumps. The Romans did it with gravity, masonry, and patience. Masonry stoves that turned one fire into all-day heat. Across northern and eastern Europe, people faced brutal winters with no gas lines and no power grids. Their answer was the masonry stove. One intense fire, short burn time, massive payoff. These stoves were built from stone or brick and designed to burn fuel extremely hot for a short period. Instead of letting heat escape up the chimney, the smoke travelled through a maze of internal channels. Every inch of hot gas transferred heat into the stove's body before exiting. Once the fire was out, the stove stayed warm for up to 24 hours. 1 firing per day, sometimes less. Families slept, worked and lived around a steady heat source that never scorched the air or dried out the room. Here's what modern systems still struggle with. Efficiency. A well-built masonry stove converts most of its fuel into stored heat, not wasted exhaust. It also burns cleaner because hotter fires reduce smoke particles. Old-world engineering quietly solved problems we're still trying to fix. When fuel was scarce, people didn't waste heat on empty space. They heated bodies directly. Metal bed warmers, clay bottles, and heated stones were common across Europe and Asia. They sound simple, but the strategy was powerful. Instead of raising the temperature of an entire room, people placed stored heat exactly where it mattered, under blankets, at the feet, and against the core. A small amount of fuel created hours of personal warmth. This approach honestly flipped modern thinking on its head. Today, we heat massive volumes of air to make ourselves comfortable. Historically, people insulated themselves first, then added targeted heat. The result was lower fuel use and better warmth retention. Even now, survival experts recommend this method in cold emergencies. Warm the body, not the shelter. It works faster, wastes less energy, and keeps you alive when fuel is limited. One of the most overlooked heating tricks in history didn't involve fire at all. It involved earth. Semi-subterranean homes, sod houses, and dugouts used the stable temperature of the ground to their advantage. Just a few feet below the surface, temperatures stay relatively constant year-round. In cold climates, that meant warmth compared to freezing air above. By building partially underground and insulating with soil, people reduced heat loss dramatically. These homes blocked wind, stabilized indoor temperatures, and required far less fuel to stay livable. Fires became supplemental, not essential. The structure itself did most of the work. Modern architecture is only now returning to this idea under names like earthships and passive houses. But long before energy efficiency became a buzzword, survival demanded it, and people listened to the land. In East Asia and parts of Eastern Europe, heating wasn't about hot air, it was about hot surfaces. Systems like the Korean ondol channeled heat from a cooking fire under stone floors, turning the entire room into a radiant heater. Walls, floors and platforms absorbed heat and released it slowly. People sat, slept and lived on these warm surfaces. The air stayed cooler, but the human body felt comfortable because heat radiated directly into it. This method reduced heat loss, improved indoor air quality, and made living spaces healthier. No dry air, no constant airflow, just steady, penetrating warmth. Radiant heating is now considered a premium feature in modern homes. Historically, it was standard survival knowledge. Warm surfaces beat hot air every time. Here's the interesting part. None of these systems relied on complex machinery. No moving parts, no electricity, no fragile components. They worked because they respected physics, materials, and human needs. They stored heat instead of chasing it. They heated mass, not air. They focused warmth where it mattered most. And they worked with nature instead of fighting it. In survival situations, off-grid living or even modern homes looking for efficiency, these ideas are gold. You don't need to copy them exactly. But understanding the principles behind them can change how you think about warmth forever. Because real survival knowledge doesn't expire. It just gets forgotten. And that's exactly why this channel exists. If you enjoyed uncovering these forgotten heating tricks, make sure you like this video so more people can find it. Subscribe to Legacy of Survival for more real, historically grounded skills that helped humanity endure long before modern convenience. Share this with someone who loves history, survival, or smart design. And stay with us, because the past still has a lot to teach, and we're just getting started.